Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching me from. My name is NCK2310. For the returning subscribers, thank you so much and welcome back. I always appreciate that you give me your time. And for those that are new, also feel at home. What I do here, I do scrutinize and analyze songs. And I actually dwell often or most of the times from Kikuyu songs, which Kikuyu is one of the many languages in Kenya where I am from. I do scrutinize and analyze the songs. Yes. And I do analyze and scrutinize gospel songs as well as political songs and as well as Mogidi or party songs. That's what I do here. Yes, and it's been quite a journey. So I have quite a lot of songs that I have scrutinized and analyzed. So I have a whole playlist. So if you're there and you've never watched any of my playlists, I ask you kindly to check on it, NCK2310. And without wasting any time, let me dive in so that we see the song I've prepared. Today, it's a gospel song, an amazing song. Let's hear what the song got to say. When the Israelites reached at River Jordan and they crossed it, God told Joshua to take a stone and put it in the middle of River Jordan. You know, on this first verse, it's like when you're delivered, you know, we know how the Israelites went through. And when they crossed the River Jordan, it's like God asked Joshua, put a stone between, because God wanted to put like a protection, you know, because they're being taken on the other side. Yeah, there we are, you and me. God can deliver you and me from difficult situations, from tough moments. And the moment God rescues you, you also have to put something in between there so that your enemies can't reach you. You know, it's like when God uplifts you, you have to know God has taken you another level. It's high time to also make sure that you protect that area, that level you are in. And actually, we usually do it nowadays through prayers. That you protect your home with prayers. You protect your families with prayers. You protect your businesses with prayers. You protect yourself with prayers, you know? It's the same because we know that in the Old Testament, there was no Jesus. And that's why even people used to do like sacrifices and stuff like that. But nowadays, since Jesus came and died for us, the only way we can protect ourselves is through prayers. When you pray, you protect everything around you. That's why I always say that praying is very, very important. There you are. If you never used to pray, start to pray. I know that for us, especially the Kenyans, we love God and we are religious, you know? And unfortunately, that's why sometimes we are easily fooled. Because when Kenyans, for example, I can talk of my tribe, the Kikuyu tribe, we love God so much that the moment somebody comes using the name of God, we listen directly to that person. When we hear somebody's preaching the word of God and saying God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, we believe that person because we see like he or she is one of us, you know? And that's why even if we like to listen so much the word of God, nowadays we have to also be very, very careful because there are a lot of pretenders, people using the name of God to come and confuse us. Anyway, let's continue on with the song. The song says, if your children ever ask you why you're hanging each other, tell them it's because of the memories, how you are delivered from slavery. You know, we remember that in the Old Testament, it talks about how the Israelites were enslaved and stuff like that. And when they were delivered, you could see the joy. And it's same for us today. there you are. You could be a slave somewhere. You know, a slave could mean a lot, has a lot of meanings. There you are. Maybe even you're unhappy where you are, either maybe where you are married, or maybe where you are working, or maybe where you are living. The situations surrounding you make it very difficult for you, and you are enslaved. You are a slavery. You're a slave. You're living in slavery. There you are, and you don't know the way out. And we know the joy that people get the moment you are able to get out of there. For example, if you are in abusive relationship, marriages, or just relationship, let's say marriages, for example, and you're unhappy, but there you are, you feel stuck. You know, for example, maybe you have children there, maybe you have no work, so you have no income, so you are stuck. And maybe you're being mistreated where you are, and you don't know the way out. You're just there. You are a slave in that place you're living in, and you would like to get out, but you don't know how to get out, either because of your finance situation that you're not able to get out, and the only thing you can do is continue praying. And for example, if you are a kind of person who you don't work, I always say that when you're self-employed is very important, because you are then independent. And I think when you work and you're independent, you're able to get out of there. Some of the people are held in hostages like slaves because they don't work. So they cannot stand for themselves. They don't know the way out. They defend either on their partners or stuff like that. And that's why I always say, even if your partner is very well up, work for yourself. It is so important, because then if things are not working all right between you and him, or you and her, you'll still carry on with your life because you're working. You'll still be able to continue with your life. You'll still be able to support your children. Because if there's something hard in life, is to live in slavery. And as I have said, there are so many situations that force the people to live where they are living today, and they are not happy at all. As I have said, also the place of work. There are so many people who are stuck in places of work which they don't like. They are being mistreated at their places of work. For example, I can say example of here in the Western countries. We know that, for example, there is racism, a lot of racism. And some of the black people working in their places of work could be, they are not happy, but they don't know the way out. They are stuck there. That's why I always say it's good to have 2, 3, 4 different kind of jobs you can do. Because if one is not functioning, you can maybe try another one. If one place you're being mistreated, you're being abused, you're being, there's racism where you're working, you're able maybe to get a more better place where maybe you're being treated in a better way. But, some people, they're just stuck there and they don't even know what to do. But always remember to pray so that God can open other doors for you. So that God can open ways, and, with prayers and hard work, everything is possible. There are so many people today, when they go to work, they are terrified because they have very bad workmates that are rude, workmates that don't like maybe us black people, workmates that lower our dignity just because of our colors, workmates that they're racist, for example. There are so many people who are suffering. But you know what? If you're one of them, you can get rid of that. You can, through prayers. Prayers is the only way that God can open other doors for you. You can still try to look for other jobs, other places. There are so many other places where people can be more nice than where you're working. If you're working in a bad environment where people are rude, I do remember there were places I used to work sometimes. And when you go there, you say good morning or good afternoon or good evening. Nobody wants to answer. And I used to ask myself, is it because I'm black? It was heartbreaking. And there are so many black people that go through that, for example, in these Western countries. If you're one of that, pray that God can open other doors for you. Pray that God can give you new places, places of work which are better, that you're being treated more kind, that you're even maybe earning more money than where you are. Don't get stuck to those bad environments. There are so many people. I even know, like I tell my story. I used to live in Germany. I've lived many years in Stockholm, and now I live here. I live in Gothenburg. I've seen it. I've gone through that myself, so I know what I'm talking about. That our brothers and sisters in these Western countries, they go through a lot. I would call it hell. But they are quiet. They don't know who to run to. Maybe they have also bosses who are racist. They don't like black people. But you are still, they cannot fire you because you have the qualification to be there. But instead of that, you are being terrorized psychologically, mentally. It's so heartbreaking that you go to a place of work and you're saying hello to people and nobody wants to answer to you. It's crazy. It's bad. And that's why I always say, for example, you people, you are back home in my country, for example, Kenya. If you have family members in these Western countries, please always pray for them, because only prayers can guide them. Only through prayers that God is able to open more doors for them, so that they are not stuck in those bad environment. You know, some workmates can be very unpolite, unkind. And your people are there, they are stuck there because they don't know what to do. And that's why I always encourage everybody, please, if you don't pray, start praying so that God can open doors for you, so that you can have more better places. If you have bad places of work, I mean like bad workmates, bad bosses, you know, places that maybe even the payments are not that good, and you're just made to work and work like a slave. You know, sometimes when I say about slaves in these Western countries, someone can tell me, yeah, but in the European countries, I see you, Betty Jane. Thank you and welcome. Some people can say in the Western countries, you can't be forced to work like the Arabic countries. Listen, in the Western countries, they do it differently. They give you a very, very hard, what do you call it? Schedule. That's how they do it in the European countries, in the diaspora. I don't know if it's the same in America. They give you a very, very hard schedule. For example, you can be told you start to work, let's say, for example, in health. Those people are in health where I am in. Maybe you're told you have to start working early in the morning, maybe like from, let's say, 6 o'clock. You work maybe up to 2 o'clock, okay? For example, or maybe you start in the afternoon. Those who work in the afternoon. Those are even more hard schedule, because maybe you start like from 1 or 2 o'clock up to evening 9 o'clock. Okay, they make sure they don't overpass. But then they write again. Remember, you work up to 9 in the evening, and then you are home. Some people don't have cars. Some people have to use buses and trains. I thank God that I've never been there. I thank God for all the years I live in these Western countries, that I always had a car and always could drive myself to work. But there are so many foreigners. They go to work in their places of work. They start in the afternoon, for example, and then they come home. They take buses and trains where they live. They arrive in their homes like maybe 10 o'clock, 11 in the night, just a few hours to sleep. Then they have a very tough schedule that early in the morning, again, 6 o'clock, they have to be in place of work again. And they have this quema like maybe 3-4 times a week. When I talk about slavery, because these people, they almost don't have a real life, because they're very tired. They come home, they have to shower, eat, sleep just a few hours, then wake up again early in the morning. That person, that's why some foreigners, they've fallen into depression in these Western countries. And that's why I say all the times, if you are there and you work in these Western countries, please always look for 2, 3, 4 different kind of jobs. Because if that places you see that you're being mistreated, because that being mistreated in some ways, because you can see that they favor some people. They give them more better schedules than you. But you, maybe because you're black, because you're dark skinned, they think, you can get the tough schema. And also, for example, in health, I can say what I have observed, what I have seen that goes on in Sweden. And I'm here to tell you because it's things that I've seen, it's things that people don't talk about. And I'm here to talk about it so that you there you are, you can listen to me if you're African, either in Sweden or in Germany or in the European countries. When you are being used, utnyttjad, we call it in Sweden, be aware that don't allow yourself to be used. Because there is usage of people, especially the foreigners. There you are. If you're one of them and you're in that kind of situation, please remember always to pray so that God can remove you from those areas. Because even some people, later on, they work and work and work, but because they are depressed, they start to fall into depression. They start to take medicine for depression. Because they allow themselves, more or less, they are stuck there in that bad environment. They allow themselves to be used. Listen, you are black just like me, but there is no difference between us and them, the white people, because we all are equal in the eyes of God. So never allow yourself to be mistreated. Never allow yourself to be used. Also, I can say another example that I got to know about it. When there was COVID, for example, when there was COVID in these areas, I can see what was going on, for example, in health facilities. I don't know if it was only in Sweden or also other countries. When some patients that had maybe like gotten COVID or something like that, most of the people who are being first pushed there to go and take care of them were the dark people. Because maybe some bosses, some white people thought, oh, the black people, they don't get sick from COVID. They were being pushed in there. But if you're there and you're black, you have to know your rights. You have to know that nobody can force you without you agreeing. Someone has to ask you, is that okay? That patient, for example, has COVID. Someone has to ask you, is that okay? Can you attend that patient? Nobody should force you just because you work in health that you should go there. Because some people, even who work, they can have some issues, some health issues, or they can know some people who have some health issues and they don't want to infect themselves or their loved ones. You know, this is something that you should know you are right. Because there are so many people who don't know their rights, even in these Western countries. They are black like me, but they don't know their rights. So they allow themselves to be used and to be mistreated in their places of work. And I'm here to tell you, if you're black like me, for example, in Sweden, where I live and you work in health, you have to know your rights. You have to know that when some patients have certain diseases or infections, for example, and your boss or whoever tell you just because you work in health, you have to go to that and that patient. First, you have to be asked if it's okay. If you don't agree, you don't have to agree, for example. You don't have to agree. So if you, and it is in the law in Sweden that you cannot force a health worker to attend somebody who has these and these certain infection diseases. So if you're there and you work in health, you have to know your rights. I'm here to tell you because it's things that I saw going. I thank God. I have a Swedish husband who even for many years have been explaining to me how things work in Sweden, because there are so many foreigners, especially foreigners who are not together with their, for example, in Sweden, they're not together with Swedish guys who don't know even the laws or the rights. They don't know anything. So they just allow themselves to be used. Do not, because you have some rights. I do remember when it came COVID and I was working in one of the places, and the boss in one of the places called and told me that I have to go and attend a certain patient who had COVID. It was actually not just one. It was like an area where COVID patients were locked. So it was like, many departments, okay? And I was told I have to go there. And I said, no, I cannot go. I don't want to go there because I have my own reasons, And I said, no, I cannot go there. And that boss, who was a very, very big boss, said to me, okay, if you don't want to go there, you have to go home. You have to decide either you go and attend those patients or you go home. And I said, I will go home. And I packed went into my car and I drove home. And then I managed to inform his boss, because that was a certain boss. That boss has another boss. I managed to report this one to the big boss, one of the biggest boss. And I said, hey, I was being forced to go this and this department, and I cannot because of this and this and that. Guess what happened? I was paid because that was being mistreated. I was paid money for that because I was told, then you can leave, you don't have to work. I was paid money for that because I knew my rights. And even later on, that boss was even, I think, fired or something like that. Didn't work anymore. Because you have to know your rights. Can you imagine if I was some of those black people who don't know their rights? They just, oh, okay, the boss has said. You have to wake up wherever you are living. You have to know your rights. Also, I hear like our brothers and sisters in the Gulf countries that you're told you're going to work from Monday to Monday with no free hours, no free days. That's full slavery. And that's why I say people like the government in Kenya, you should fight for our people. Our people should not be going through those kind of that is mistreatment. That's slavery. That's the same like what the Israelites had to go through. So there you are. If please, I ask you kindly, if you're there and you know in the country you're living in that you're being mistreated in your places of work, remember to pray and always read nicely. You have to know your rights, because there are so many. I sometimes hear some cases of our black brothers and sisters in these Western countries, and I'm like, wait a minute, don't you know you're right? Don't you know nobody should treat you this way and that way? It's high time people to know their rights. It's high time to always put prayers, because then God put prayers. God hears our prayers. When you pray, God opens doors for you. Let's continue on with the song. The song says, when God's hand is at work, everything else comes to standstill. Wind and storm stand still so as to obey the hand of God. We know that when time comes for God to bless you, when time comes for God to change your life, nobody can stop it. Not even the high wind or the storm. Nothing can stop it. When God had come and said, now this is the time to bless this one and that one, no one can stop it. And how is God able to bless you? When you pray. That's why I always say the only big weapon you have, or we all have, is prayers, nothing else. And for praying, you need to pray yourself. You don't need to go to a pastor, or I don't know to who to pray for you. You can pray directly to God. I always say there should be no mediator, nobody between you and God. And also, I always try to tell people, please don't allow yourself to go and be laid hands on, because some people who lay hands on others, they are criminals. Big criminals. That's why I always say, please pray directly to God. I always tell my story that I have never visited to church over 31 years. I pray directly to God, and God hears my prayers. I don't need anybody to pray for me. I pray directly to myself. If someone wants to pray for me, well and good, but don't lay hands on me, because I don't know what to do in your times when you're alone. There are so many cases that we hear people are criminals. You can hear them saying, Jesus, Jesus, God, God, but later on, they are killers. Later on, they are thieves. Later on, they are liars. Later on, they're doing all sort of bad things, and they're the ones you allow yourself to be put hand on. Do not. I always say, for me, as much as I remember myself, the last time anybody ever put hand on me was when I was being baptized, and second, when I was being given confirmation, when I was a young girl. Since then, nobody has ever put hands on me, and I wouldn't even allow, because I'm afraid of people. There are so many criminals out there. Just like the Bible says that in the last days, there will come a lot of pretenders. There will come a lot of people using the name of God, but they are liars. They are lying. And we've seen it. We've had a lot of stories. For example, where I am from in Kenya, There are a lot of fake pastors, fake bishops, fake apostles, fake prophets. They tell a lot of fairy tales, lying to people just because they want to steal what the hardworking people have gotten in their own, they want to steal their properties, their money, they want to steal everything. So they come with fake stories. They pretend to be holy. So there you are. Before you allow anybody to put hands on you, think twice. Remember, the Israelites also prayed, Derek. They looked up and said, God, please deliver us from this slavery. Help us. Anyway, the song continued to say, if your children ever ask you, tell them that when you left Misri, there were a lot of enemies following you on your ways during your travel. We know that enemies can follow. So there you are. If God delivers you from a certain place, you should know that there are enemies who are going to follow you. There are some stories that people tell. For example, where I am from, in Kenya, there are stories that people say, you can have mercy and you help people. I remember like when I was a young girl, I used to, every time when I used to, for example, go to Kenya, or even when I even not go to Kenya, even through M-Pesa, there was Western Union or something like that, which we used to use a lot. And whenever I heard people had problems, or anybody called me and said, oh, I have this problem, I need this, I need that, I always used to help. I always used to send money there, help there. When I go on holiday, when I meet people and I think, oh my God, that one has this, I give money there. And then one time I was told that there are people, those that you give money, they can take your money, for example, to witchcraft, to witch doctors. But I thank God, like for me, I think it never worked because I always prayed. I've been a prayerful girl since I was a young girl. So even if before I give any money, I always said, God, I thank you that you've given me the power, the strength to work, and I have this, and I want to give this money as a present to that one or that one. Please, God, I ask you that it will be a blessing. I used to pray for that money before I give somebody. So even if whoever I've ever given money and maybe took that money to, I don't know, witchcraft or witch doctors, or I don't know where they take that kind of money, from my side, it never worked because that was money that already I had prayed to. And that's what I always say, the power of prayers is unimaginable. So there you are. Before you give away your present, your money, pray so that the money, the people who will receive your money, because it's your hard work, some of them, they could be evil, because we hear that the devil, the evil spirits follows. There are people who don't want to see you having a nice home. There are people who don't want to see you having a nice car. There are people who don't want to see you having a good business. There are people who don't want to see you that you live wherever you're living. They could come and pretend to be your friends. They could come and pretend to be happy for you. But after, whatever you give them, maybe they go and try to do bad things. I don't know what or how those things work. Because for me, I believe too much in God. But I know that the evil spirits, people who are evil, can follow you. People who are evil can start to do crazy things. So there you are. Before you give away whatever you want to give away, pray for that. Whether it's money, whether it's whatever present, pray for it. So that anybody who will get it will not do no harm to you. So that God will protect whatever you have and whatever you give away. God will protect it. Anyway, the song says, but with God's hands, there is power to save and protect. You hear that? That with God's hands, there is power to save and to protect. And all our enemies are destroyed and finished. They are all perished. The enemies are perished through prayers. When God put hands like this, everything that God has on. God has the power. If it's your enemies, they will be destroyed. They will. The song says, when the disciples noticed that they will be finished and perish, they cried to you and you listened to them. This is in the Bible, that when the disciples, they learned that they were being haunted by so many people. There were so many people who are like, oh, those 12 disciples of Jesus, they're the ones going around preaching the name of God, the name of Jesus. We want to destroy them. They had so many enemies and stuff like that. And they noticed that. So there you are. If you notice that your enemies are not happy for you, if you notice that things are not working, you're working hard, nothing is working for you, could be their enemies who are trying in whichever way to pull you down. That's the moment you should even pray more, just like the disciples did. That when they noticed they had so many enemies, if you're there and you notice you have enemies in your family, you have enemies, your neighbors, you have enemies at your work, you are being haunted by all these for no reasons. You have enemies here online. You have done nothing wrong, but you are being fought for no reasons. Those are also enemies. What you can do is pray so that God can destroy all those enemies, so that God can cover you. You are covered in the blood of Jesus, as we say, we Christians. There you are. Remember always, just prayers can protect you. Just prayers can save you from your enemies. Just like the disciples. The song says, you calmed, let me see. Yes, they cried to you and you listened to them. You calmed their pain. You stopped the storm. And all that was written, we are still reading about it today. That God, when you pray, God will stop that storm. God will stop your enemies. He will stop them. But you need to pray, because the enemies will always be there. The enemies were there. The enemies will always be there. And that's why I say it's very difficult for you to trust any human beings. It's very difficult to put all your trust either to your own parents, to your own siblings, to your own workmates, to your own neighbors. You cannot. You should put your trust only in God. Because human beings can turn against you. You can be thinking, oh, that person is nice. But then the person turns against you for no reasons. We are being told that only God will stop any storm you're going through, all what is being planned for you. And everything that God does will be written down so that you can always be standing and say, yes, God delivered me. Yes, God made it for me. Yes, God stopped those storms. The song says, your hand was used. That's God's hand. When David killed Goliath, you stood by the tribe and the community of David. And it was written, and we still read about it. We know the story of David and Goliath. David, a small man, very short and small. Nobody thought that he would fight Goliath, monster, big guy. And we know the story, how he did it with a stone. That everybody was shocked. But it's because David believed so much in God. God gave him the knowledge that he can take a small thing and he tie it somewhere and he swing it, and it will bring so much, it will come with so much strength and hit Goliath, and it just will fall and die. So there we are. If God can give that knowledge, he gave that knowledge to David, God can also give you and me knowledge of how to go about our enemies. It doesn't matter their size. It doesn't matter how much money they have. It doesn't matter where they are living. If they are living like me here in Sweden, or others are in whichever countries they are living in, God will give you the knowledge. You should pray. When you pray, your enemies, wherever they are, wherever they will be punished by God, because God's hands is with you. So when you compare that story about David and Goliath, you should know the same things, the same way that God had given knowledge to David of how to attack Goliath. That same knowledge, when you pray, tell God, God, give me the knowledge so that I can know how to go about my enemies. Because we can be surrounded. You think they're your friends, but they're your enemies. You could be surrounded by family members. You think they are happy for you. You can give them everything that you can. You're working hard, supporting them, giving them. But you know what? You are nice, you're clean. You're doing all that you're doing because you think they're your family. You think they are your friends. You think they are your neighbors. You think they are your workmates. So you're doing everything with a clean heart. But instead, they are maybe jealous of you. Maybe the enemies are enemies. They have many reasons of why they do whatever they do. They are evil. Enemies are evil. They never want anything good for you or for me. But you should know how to go about it. You should know when your enemies are planning things against you, even with workmates. I can give you an example. For example, here in Sweden, there is a system. For example, there is a style. For example, if some of the white people you work together with, if they don't like you just because maybe you're black, or maybe they think, I don't know why, I could just say because they are racist and they don't like you, what happens is they will form a group. They will form a group and lie about you. Things that are not even there. If that ever happened to you, pray so that God can destroy them one by one. If you've ever gone through something like that, that lies are put against you, maybe they can even go and tell lies about you to the boss, because they want to make sure that you are fired from your work for no reasons. You are working properly, you have done nothing wrong, but they are against you because of your skin color. We've seen it. We've gone through that. But you know what? Prayers is the weapon. Because when you pray, you tell God, God, you pray, maybe you are sad, yes, cry those tears, tell God, please God, never allow these tears to go in vain. Tell God, God, those people that planned evil against me, those people, workmates that lied about me, that maybe I lost my work, that maybe I lost this and that maybe I was not my money. Go and say, I see you, Ken Masharia. Thank you for coming. Welcome, welcome. Go and kneel down before God and tell God, God, those enemies that have they have ganged themselves against me. God, please fight this war for me. Believe you me, through prayers, one by one. Those bad people who've been planning bad about you, who've been lied about you, they will go one by one. They will go down one by one. Things will happen to them. They will get accidents, for example. That's what happens. Because your prayers are very, you have to be prayerful. Cry, tell God, God, you know that I'm innocent. I've been accused of this and this and that. People have lied about me, about this and this and that. God, please protect me from my enemies. Go punish those enemies, and God will do that for you. We've seen it. So if you're there and you know that you've gone through these things, prayers is the only way. Prayers. There's nothing else that can protect you. It's only prayers. It doesn't matter the difficult situation you're going through. Put prayers there. Just like the Israelis put prayers, just like David put prayers in there before he fought with Goliath. There you are. Ask yourself, do you pray? Because if you don't pray, you better start to pray. Praying, you don't have to shout around so much. You can pray silently. You can pray silently. God hears prayers. It's in your heart. Make sure that every day you tell God, God, thank you for giving me a new day, because there are so many people who haven't seen a new day. There are so many people who would have liked to enjoy a new day, but they went to sleep and they never woke up. And there we are, you and me. You are listening to me now because God gave you a new day. I see Gashia as Skyman. Thank you, Gashia. Long time. Welcome, welcome. Yes, I see Real TBT as well. Welcome and feel at home. You know, today it's a gospel song we are analyzing and scrutinizing. A very amazing, beautiful song. So there you are. If you have enemies around you, the only way you can fight your enemies is through prayers, nothing else. As I always say, for example, even here online, if people abuse you, don't abuse them back. Don't do it. Just go before God. Kneel down, pray, tell God, God, you know I'm innocent. You know I'm being accused for no reasons. You know I've never done this and this and that. You know I've never talked ill about this and this person. You know that they were just false accusation. Please, God, protect me. Face my enemies. God will destroy them one by one. Slow but sure. It takes time. Be patient. Because God needs patience. You need to be patient with God. You know, you always have to, for me, according to me, the way I know it, and for, as I've always told, since 31 years, I pray for myself. I do. I believe so much up to today that God hears my prayers. He does. So nobody should fool you and lie to you. You need to send money so that I can pray for you for your problems. You need to send money so that you can get documents. I don't know which documents, European or whatever, or American or whatever documents. Pray. You pray yourself. You cannot be lied and fooled up to today in 2025. You are still listening and buying lies of people who are telling you lies, and you know they are lies, but you pray and tell God to open your eyes. Because God gave us eyes to see. God gave us brain. You can use it to think. He did not give us eyes for decoration or brain for decoration. He gave us all this so that we can think wisely. It's a matter of wisdom. So we pray so that God can give us the wisdom to know, are we going in the right direction? Are we being tricked? Are we being fooled? Are lies being told to us? There are so many people, for example, when you're sick, instead of you going to health facilities, hospitals, where doctors have the knowledge, they have learned, they know you have this and this disease, you need this and this medication. You know that's the way it should be, because with the brain thinking, that's the way direction, that's the right direction. But instead of you doing that, you are being told, hey, send money, we'll pray for you. Hey, use salt and water and handkerchiefs, and you believe, you buy these kind of lies. You know, it hurt me so much. I ask, oh my God, why don't people pray? Because if you pray yourself, God will see that you are his child or her child, and God will give you the wisdom to see. God will open your eyes and know, okay, you know, because the right thing, when you're sick, you should go to a health facility, a dispensary, a hospital. But you should not go when you're sick and you're being told you only have to go to churches to be laid hands on, that you're gonna get healed. Come on. Come on, please. And this especially to our Kenyans. You know, when I hear all these stories, sometimes I ask myself, am I hearing right? Or is it true? Because I can't believe it that in 2025, our people are still being lied to. You need to pray yourself directly, you yourself, to God, in whichever kinds of situation you are at. As I have said, when it's about work, if you're unhappy in the places of work, start to look for other jobs as well. If you're not happy in the place you're working, if you're being mistreated, you're being discriminated, two things you can do in that kind of situation. Start to look if you can get other jobs, and also always remember to pray. Those are the only two things. It's nothing about you're calling pastors and bishops and I don't know, apostles and prophets. Like we in the diaspora, you're calling them back home, for example, in Kenya, or you're in Uganda or Tanzania, whichever country you are at. Oh, I'm going through this. Pray for me. Hey, send me water and send me salt and handkerchiefs and I don't know what. It's crazy. It's high time people to wake up. And that's why I love these songs, because when you listen to some of these songs, they have so much knowledge in it. You know, some of these songs that I do scrutinize and analyze is because I want you and me to learn more. I want these beautiful songs that we have from our blessed, talented artists. They teach us everything. We just have to ask wisdom from God so that we can get the real meaning of these songs. Because we can see here when they talk about David, he just prayed. He believed so much that through God, he's gonna fight Goliath. He's gonna make it. And he did. He did not go. David did not go to all the other people around him and say, hey, put hands on me. I need to go and fight Goliath. I don't know, your blessings. And I don't know what. He did not do that. He just looked up to God. Why don't you do that in the situation you are at? The Israelites as well, they looked up to God so that God could help them to cross River Jordan. Why don't you do that as well? You don't need anybody to pray for you to remove you in the kind of hard situation you are at. Because that kind of person could be a criminal, could be a thief, could be a murderer. And those people are putting hands on you. You should be afraid. Anybody to put hands on you. For me, I'm even myself somehow afraid even to imagine that I would allow anyone to put hands on me or lay hands on me. I don't know, praying about what? Why? Anyway, the song says, the things you do for us, oh God, we will be doing things that will make you to be remembered. That it's you, Jehovah, who've done it for us. You know, that we have to always give thanks to God. Because some people, after God delivers them from whichever tough situations, they never remember to tell God thank you. They think it's because of themselves that they have managed. When you escape an accident, some people say, oh, I'm lucky. They forget to tell God, thank you. Thank you, God. You've rescued me from a certain accident. You've saved me, God, from this and this situation. When things are ganked against you so that you can fall down and you know it's lies, pray so that God will make sure you don't fall down. And even if some people will make it, that you falls down, that God will uplift you up again, even more better places. For example, if lies are told about you at your places of work and you lose your work and you know you're innocent, the thing you can do, look up to God. Tell God, God, you know I'm innocent. You know I was fired for no reason. God will open other doors for you. And you'll get even better jobs, better workmates who are more kind and polite to you, for example. If lies are told about you even here online, that you've abused that one and done this, and you know it's a lie, look up to God. Tell God, God, you know it's a lie. You know I've never done that. God, make sure the people who've accused me falsely, punish them. God will do that for you. You don't need to do it yourself. God will do it for you. So that those people who do such things, God wants to teach them also a lesson. That is bad to lie about other people. That is bad with false accusations. Anyway, the song continues to tell us, when our children ask us, we will tell them that when you were doing that, everything was put on standstill. So your voice could be obeyed or your word can be fulfilled. You know, this is something that you have to have a testimony. When God delivers you from whichever kind of situations, when God opens doors for you, it's very, very important to always remember to be thankful to God. Inform people what God has done for you. Don't be ashamed. Don't be shy. Tell God, God has heard my prayers. Give glory to God. Let other people know, you know what? This and this happened to me. But God saved me. God uplifted me. God opened doors for me in this way and that way. I was going through this and that. Be a testimony. Because we know it very well. If you do something good, you also want to be told, thanks. Thanks for example, I would tell Ken Masharia. Let me see. I would tell Betty Jane, Ken Masharia, Real Beat. Let me see. Real Beat, Kashis Kaiman, Ken Masharia. I would tell you, thank you so much. For example, that you have gotten the time to come and listen to me. I do appreciate from the bottom of my heart. It's good when you are appreciated. It's good that when you do something good, you figure also for the people who are behind and they are listening to me. I thank you all as well. For the people who will come and listen to me later, today or tomorrow or the other day, you also have to tell them thank you. It doesn't matter that, for example, you go live and only one person coming to you, say thank you as well. That person has left everything he or she was doing to come and give you their time. Be someone who appreciates. The same thing with God. When God delivers you and me in a certain situation, when God blesses us, let us be there to also say thank you. Let us give a testimony what God has done for us. It is good to appreciate. Because you yourself, you also want to be appreciated if you do something good, right? Yes. This is a very, very amazing song. I always look for we always scrutinize gospel songs, political songs, and party songs, Mogidi songs as well. Mogidi is Kikuyu party songs, we call it Mogidi in Kenya, where I am from. This is an amazing song, and this song is called Guoko Kwa Jehovah, and it's by Shegewa Willie. Yeah, talented. We have so many talented artists in Kenya. I really love our artists. For me, I call them the prophets. Those are the people who go to the other prophet telling them who are, when they're being told fairy tales. For me, I listen to the words in the songs of our Kenyan artists, especially the Kikuyu artists. I love them because each and every one has such a message, a very good message for us, and that's why I always say, if you're there and you never listen to these songs, I always like to tell the name of the singer and then, because I want you to go back to that song and listen to it, and then also tell God, give me the wisdom to understand this song better, because each and every song teaches us something. It's amazing. I really, really love our songs, especially the Kikuyu songs. That's why I dwell a lot in the Kikuyu songs. I really do that. Yes, I hope you like this song. And we continue with this journey for scrutinizing and analyzing the songs. I hope you all enjoy what I do. I enjoy what I do. I really love what I do. And please, if you've liked this one as well, you can hit the subscribe button, support me. I'll appreciate. And you can comment, share, and like as well. Let me see what my followers here was saying. I see Betty Jane, hey, NCK. Good evening, everyone. Let's give the video a like. I'll appreciate. Greetings, NCK and Ken. Thank you, RBT. Skyman, Gashi Skyman, Jerry, great to see you. Gashi, I always come to hear you. I don't type or anything, but I always listen to you every day, actually. Every time when you post something. Ken Mashera as well. We are always there for each other. Yes, great listening. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, as I always say, I'm always going live Monday to Thursdays, and I always go live in the evening, which is PM, 10 o'clock Kenyan time, and Sweden or German time, it's 8 o'clock. I always go live. So, yes, today is Thursday, so it means tomorrow is Friday. I will not come live, but I'll be back again on Monday, same time at 10 o'clock Kenyan time. So let's meet, and thank you so much for all those that came. And I would say, may God bless you till Monday. And tomorrow, have a nice day and happy weekend to all of you. And we catch up again on Monday and continue with this amazing journey. And please don't forget to go to my playlist and watch. We have amazing songs there that we scrutinize, analyze, political songs and Mogidi songs and gospel songs. We have everything there. Thank you so much and stay blessed. And bye-bye.